Hello, podcast listeners. This is Caleb, and as you're going to find out, I wasn't able to be on this week's podcast episode. I had to work overtime, and I simply didn't have space in my schedule to both record and edit a podcast. I'm in the middle of a move. I've had a lot of things going on in my personal life, and I just simply didn't have the margin. That being said, I want to announce a thing that I did for this week's podcast episode. I edited not only the audio for this podcast, but also the video. You can find it both on Spotify and on YouTube. A link to our YouTube page is in the show notes. This is not a guarantee that I will edit video every week, as it takes me nearly twice as long to edit the video. However, this was a very picture-heavy podcast episode because of the amount that they were referencing pictures, going through news stories that were all pictures, videos, and the tweets, and all of those things. I decided to go ahead, edit a video, so that way you can see all the things that they were referencing. So we have a YouTube page now, and all of the audio from our previous episodes is on there. However, this is the only one that actually has video to go along with it. So enjoy. And, as always, tell people about our little quirky Christian podcast that we do. More listeners is always a good thing.
Welcome to the Barely Saved podcast, where we have the discussions real Christians don't have. Here's your hosts.
I think so.
It always records the video. Caleb just doesn't always use the video.
Caleb doesn't edit the video to go. What is your deal?
Well, the cat seems to be upset.
That cat is very upset. What did you do to it?
Oh my gosh. So
She
yes,
wants
the other
to go
day.
outside.
Yeah, so the other day we
The actual cat.
I was in here and I heard him barking in the other room. I was like, what is going on? So I left here. I went into there and he had a sock in his kennel. And it appears that he had eaten the sock.
Oh no.
And thrown up the sock.
Oh.
And had the look of a dog who knew exactly what he had done. He looks up with those big old, eyes as if, bro, come on. We both know what you did here.
Oof.
He seems to be doing okay, though. I don't think he ate anything more than he threw up. But
that's good.
He just does not care what he eats.
Well, he is a dog.
He's like a goat.
No,
so my dog is a cat.
Yeah, your dog's a cat. Gus is a goat. Like Shiloh was never. Shiloh chewed up things, but never ate them. This dog will chew up and eat anything he can.
Yeah,
just for funsies. Almost 2. I mean, he's still a puppy.
Yeah. So Lily would still do that. Actually, I bought these cute little cloth little pumpkins just at the Dollar General, not anything super fancy, just for our little table decorations. And I come home and I had bought 3 and I come home and there was only 2 on the table. And one of them, this one, had appeared off of the table into the living room with these little beads pulled off of its thing. And so Lily, just anything that's soft and squishy like that, she's like, that's mine, right? That should be for me. So
a little bit of nom nom going on.
Yeah, she hasn't done it in a really long time though, so I didn't expect it because she's 3 now. But up until she was 2.5, 3, she definitely ate anything and everything. So I feel you.
And he just loves being around people. He just wants to touch you.
Yeah.
But doesn't know that he's a 50-pound dog.
Speaking of weird October things, it's 70 degrees still.
Yeah, it's really hot still. And, I hate it.
I'm in a short sleeve dress and not jeans and, a hoodie. So
yep.
It's very weird.
Well, friends, it's the time of year when animal news becomes a little less newsy and becomes a little more routine, because our fat bear has been crowned.
Fat bear.
747 has won.
Wow, that's a fat bear.
Jeez.
He is a chunky boy. Remember, there was a scandal. We had some ballot stuffing happen.
Uncovered voting irregularities.
During Fat Bear Week. But they knew that the ballot stuffing was happening, the spam votes.
That's amazing.
They know it happened, and the spammed bear did not win. And 747, who is, again, a chunky boy.
He is a chonker.
He's real pretty.
He is.
He looks like, if you look at him from the front, he looks like a dog.
Yeah,
Like
he
a
kind of
big,
looks like
fat
a really
dog.
fat Labrador.
Yes. That could eat you.
Well, I mean, a Labrador could also eat you, but...
It might take a little longer.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, man. So I saw this other one. We talked about this last year.
He is really
and
pretty.
I felt like we needed to talk about it again. So again, these are just things that we talked about last year that have happened again because they're annual. So now we got to talk about them again. And this is the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition. And what's unfortunate is when I saw these earlier, Mike, I don't know about you, but I saw them on my phone. Right?
What?
Mike, they're not going to win. They're the Mariners.
Shut up.
I'm just break your heart
Fine,
now
it's
so
the
it doesn't happen later.
The middle of the ninth. They're out. It's still 2-4. We have one game. We could still do it.
I just listen, as a perennial heartbroken fan, the earlier you break it, the better off you are.
My heart has been broken for 21 years.
No, it hasn't. You haven't made the playoffs. Your heart hasn't broken yet. Trust me. There's a difference when they're in the.
That's fair.
They're in Game 6 of the World Series, and Nelson Cruz can't catch a fly ball in right field because Ron Washington didn't take him out as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the 10th. So don't tell me about heartbreak, my friend.
You're right. You're right.
Or, being a Vikings fan and having the kicker choke multiple times.
Wide right. Wide right. Okay. So our invertebrate winner is this beautiful picture of these bees.
Yeah, seeing this on the desktop is way different.
Oh, it's way better.
That is intense.
Gorgeous
and beautiful.
picture. The natural artistry winner is called Heavenly Flamingos, taken in the Andes, and the sky just bounces off of the...
An amazing photo.
Oh, wow.
I can't... That's water, right? It's got to be. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I love the bear one.
I did not see the bears.
Oh, this is the first one I saw when I opened it on my phone.
The urban wildlife winner, house bears of Koluchin Island, Chukotka, Russia.
Man, even the Russian bears are having a hard time.
The baleen photo is really cool too.
I couldn't figure out what it was for a second.
A 16-year-old took that photo, Michael.
What?
Yes, this is the 15 to 17 years winner.
Wow. It's a good one. It's super crisp.
The spider and the chicken.
It's fascinating.
It's not a chicken. The chick crane. Wolf spiders are rarely aggressive unless provoked, making this attack on the unsuspecting plover especially remarkable. This spider is like in the air jumping at this chick, and it's also edited quite a bit to give it the blur. But it's well done and it looks really cool. The baleen photo is just a picture of a whale's baleen with a couple of anchovies. The next one is one of my favorites. So
it's super cool.
The snake.
The snake
eating a bat.
So it's called the Bat Snatcher in Cantinmo, Quintana Roo, Mexico. Every evening at sundown in the Cave of the Hanging Snakes. So the fact that it's called the Cave of the Hanging Snakes should tell us something.
Right.
But
let's go visit.
Thousands of bats leave for the night's feeding. It's also when hungry rat snakes emerge, dangling from the roof to snatch their prey midair.
That's wild.
And they're not cool. Like that bat is still alive at this point.
Yeah, the bat is like, you can see the bat's nose and teeth and everything
Yeah,
hanging
it
out of the
looks
snake's
like
jaws.
the bat's mouth has wings.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it looks like. And then there's the photojournalism winner, which is a 2-month-old that had been rescued after her troop was brutally killed by a charcoal mafia as a threat to park rangers. And Ndasaki is the name of, I think it's a chimpanzee, right?
I can't tell.
I can't tell exactly, but it looks like a chimpanzee. And has been with the rescuer and caregiver for 13 years.
Orphan mountain gorilla.
Oh, that's a mountain gorilla. Okay.
Wow.
And then we have our wetlands winner, the dying lake in Guatemala from cyanobacteria. It's a really beautiful picture. It's terrifying,
Wow.
but beautiful. And then there's the sloth, also known as Sloth Dilemma. And it's a sloth on the bottom of a tree with a dog, like, looking at it.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if the dog has malice in his heart or her heart. And then we have a Canary Island Tubara male making a demonstration. It's very well shot. And then we have a bird
Eating seed off of...
Yeah, that's weird. I don't care. Listen, they thought so much about what they could do. They didn't think about whether they should or not. That's what this picture is. It's Jurassic Park.
What the heck is this next one?
What in the
That's a shooting star. This is a male Lacer Leachy sea star broadcasting sperm into murky water in a shallow bay. Other nearby city stars were broadcasting sperm and eggs into the water in synchrony. Now listen.
So this is a...
Gross.
If I tell my wife that I would like to broadcast some sperm, what do we think the response will be?
I really want you to record that conversation, please.
I'll text her right now.
Oh no, that needs to be a verbal. That needs to be a verbal one.
All right, let's see what happens there. And then we have
it's a great picture, but it's gross.
the mushrooms.
It's not... It's nature.
And nature is gross.
I mean, sure. But... Oh, it's morels, yeah.
Yeah, they're really pretty. On the background's almost the prettier part, but you get them in the foreground there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this one.
Oh, the bear.
I love
Oh, yeah, the
salmon
bear.
arrive in
Wow.
summer, so do the bears.
The bears.
So, pretty pictures. We talked about them last year. We got to talk about them again because, them's the rules.
I feel like these are really good traditions.
These are good traditions. They're happy traditions.
And again, the way traditions form always have to be natural and not forced upon us, just in case this isn't necessarily a subtweet, but you get the idea. Insert more transition music as Rachel wants to talk about sleeping. Go ahead, Rachel.
I did not say I wanted to talk about sleeping. I wanted to talk about rest.
Arrested
I
Development.
figured. I mean, Mike, we can talk about your issues if you really want to, but I feel like maybe we should focus on
No,
like
the TV
Sabbath.
show.
I've never watched it.
You've never seen Arrested Development?
No,
Oh man, the first 3 seasons are so funny.
really?
Yeah, it's got Jason Bateman in it.
Are there only 3 seasons?
Well, there are 5 seasons, but the last 2 are fine. They're okay.
Okay, well, we'll see. It's really hard to get Nate to start any new shows. So the fact that we watched all the way through Schitt's Creek is big.
I love Schitt's Creek.
I know. He did too. So Matt, what were you going to say something?
You can watch a show by yourself. It's possible.
Oh, I know. There are plenty of shows that I do watch by myself, but
I'm confusion.
or Grey's Anatomy.
Oh,
I started watching it in season 2.
Is that show still on?
Yeah, I have to follow it through. And I still really like it. Or I mean, I think they're doing a decent job with stories and continuing characters and stuff. So
How is that show still a thing?
it's I started watching in season 2, and so now it's just I have to.
it's because the show is just hot doctors having sex. That's the show.
Not really. It's less of that now, actually.
It's on ABC, so they can't,
Well, they
Not
don't show
HBO.
it. It's not HBO.
Right. Yeah, there are plenty of shows that I watch on my own, but so I like to share things with my spouse, okay?
I don't understand.
You don't understand?
No.
Which part of that is confusing?
The sharing part. I have it and she has it. We might have the same thing, but it's still ours.
I mean, yes, but like,
So not to share.
but I want to do it together. Does that mean not sharing? Or does
I
that
don't know.
intrinsically mean that we're sharing?
I don't think it means that you're sharing.
Well, if you,
I think it
then
just
it's
means
something
you
that
have.
I want to watch or do with my spouse.
Like, we do the crossword every night before bed,
Oh, gross.
but we don't share it.
Like you each do it?
No, we do it together.
Right, you do it together. Matt.
No, it's not the same, because we're not sharing. When I finish it, I finish and she finishes. We happen to finish the crossword at the same time, because we're doing the same one. But we're not sharing, because sharing is gross.
I mean, I'm with you there, but I'm a little confused.
Me too.
That's okay.
But
I
I
feel like
just don't
there's something
care
to
enough to chase this rabbit.
I just feel like there's something that Matt
I'm
has
sure
some sort of
it makes
traumatic
sense.
experience with the word sharing, and so really doesn't like it. That's what I think there must be. I'm gonna leave that onion alone though.
I'm sure it makes sense. And I'm sure we mean the similar things.
So rest. I think listeners know already that I'm off for a month. So I go back to work. Well, my first Sunday back to work will be the 23rd of October. And so I'll have been off for 4 weeks. And it's been really, really good because it's been a long year. And so I took all my vacation days at once. So I think that, especially in a pastoral context, and a lot of the listeners are in some sort of ministry, like rest is, I feel like we almost view it as a necessary evil instead of something to celebrate and pursue.
Elaborate.
I feel like that was pretty clear what I just said.
Just like the Bible.
No, I just think that it's like, I don't know how much of it is just human nature and how much of it is the consumeristic culture of like the industrialized world, but like productivity is celebrated over rest so much. And even in pastors, it seems like it goes hand in hand of kind of some of these systems that are like not healthy within the organized church, then gets paired with leaders who are workaholics and who don't rest and who almost pride themselves on not resting. And then we wonder why we have issues in the American church as well.
So can you define rest?
Can I define rest?
Mm-hmm.
I think what makes that difficult is I do think that what is restful and what is rest to each person is different. So I think it's a little bit subjective.
If I may borrow from a fairly famous statement, I don't know the definition, but I know it when I see it.
Okay, so what does it mean for you?
So for me, rest means being able to turn off my brain from thinking about like a to-do list. I think it means also kind of doing things that are grounding for me. So like I entered my dog in a trial. It was supposed to be a confirmation show, and then she's not standard after all. She's half an inch too tall to be considered a standard miniature American Shepherd. So we're doing what's called a fast cat trial, which is essentially who can run the fastest after a fake lure. Anyway.
So your fake cat is doing a fast cat trial.
Yes.
Wait. You said that wrong. Her fake dog was
Oh,
doing a fast cat trial.
There it is. And then like yesterday I got out some of the minimal agility equipment that I own, and worked with Lily on some of that training and doing things that are really grounding, that I really enjoy. So I say those things are restful. But what brings me rest is not going to be the same for everybody else. Because I don't think Matt wants to like train for agility. Probably wouldn't be as restful for him.
No, that would be stressful.
Right. Anyway, how do you guys rest?
I don't do anything that makes me stressed. Bad stressed. I like good stress, not bad stressed.
What is a good stress?
A good stress is for me is a stimulus that tells me there's something I need to be done, but something that the world won't explode if I don't do it. So it's like a positive stress that at least gets me moving so that I can. So I just don't lay in bed all day.
Okay.
Like I don't go out of my way to do things that will make me stressful in a negative way over things that I don't enjoy.
Like baseball?
No, I like that stress.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure.
All sports, I like that stress. It's fun stress.
For me, it really depends. Like, some things can be restful in one time frame and not in another. So I have to read a lot of books. I don't know if you guys know that.
I'm shocked.
Like this bad boy.
What are you reading?
I'm not reading it right now, but I need to.
In Quest of the Historical Pharisees. Ooh.
Jacob Neusner and Bruce Chilton. It's edited volume. It actually is going to be really good. I can tell already. I've read a little bit of the introduction, and I already can tell.
Is that about that
it's real solid.
woke fake theology about how the Pharisees aren't the most evil creatures ever to walk the earth?
I believe it is. And so, there's going to be times where that's completely unrestful. But I've also read listened to 40-something books this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And completely owned at Harry Potter trivia the other day.
Oh. I want to do a Harry Potter trivia.
Did I tell you about that one, Rachel?
No, you didn't.
So we did Trivial Pursuit.
Wait, movie or book?
So it was. I think it was movie based. But you get enough if you've read the books, you know the movie well enough, right? I also won regular. We did Decades Trivial Pursuit. I won that one too, because what are you gonna do? I'm just smart.
Who were you playing? Was this out and about, or was this like against your 13-year-old daughter?
I owned my child. No, it was against our friends.
Okay.
So
other adults.
There were other adults, not just Amanda.
We have Friends Trivial Pursuit as well.
Ooh.
And I am not as good at that one because that's 10 seasons.
Have you guys seen the Friends Advent calendar that Costco has?
I don't think so.
I'll have to send the link to Anna.
You should not. That's dangerous. I don't do Advent calendars either.
You're a bad Lutheran.
I'm in my rebel phase.
Yeah, he'll come back eventually. All that being said, rest has it's hard for me to rest sometimes because I am an Enneagram 3 and production is what I value. And so rest generally for me means doing something not productive and allowing myself to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that I have as a Enneagram 3 with that is I have to trick my brain and tell it that rest is productive, because by resting, I will be more productive elsewhere. So I never get to just rest. It's always about production, but I can at least slow myself down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, and during this time off, I've been cleaning out my clothing and doing a bunch of house stuff. And that's a different kind of productivity, but it's also a different kind of rest to feel as I'm emotionally and spiritually going through the last, couple of years, but this last year, then I'm symbolically also cleaning out my house. And so it's okay, I'm doing all of the cleaning out right now. And that is restful. But I thought it was interesting because there were a lot of people when we went to Hawaii. We did lots of you are not going outside just to try and chase the mouse. Sorry, that you won't catch.
Lily can't catch mice.
Your cat is defective.
There's something scurrying under a spot in our fence, and she really, really wants to watch it and get it. And
I'll send you Macy. Macy will get it.
Yeah. And Sky is a terrible cat, so she doesn't catch anything.
Make sure to poke some holes in it.
In the cat?
No, in the box. How are you going to send this cat?
Okay, anyway. So we did a bunch of excursions. We did, we went ziplining. We were supposed to rappel down waterfalls, and that got canceled, which was a bummer. We went ziplining. We did a horseback ride. We did the manta ray snorkel. We did a Captain Cook snorkel tour.
You did. When did you rest?
So that's the thing, is that people are well, you're going to be too busy. You're going to have to come back. And I didn't want to have a vacation that then I had to come home and recover from. But it was we had 8 days and we did 4 official excursions, like one every other day, essentially. Along with going and hiking to the green sand beach. Sometimes I think then the understanding is like, oh, if you're resting, then you're supposed to be like not in motion, or you're supposed to be staying in one place, or you're supposed to be not like, it's almost like we have the Old Testament idea of like, do no work and just like sit and don't do anything. Stupid fly. And it was like, but doing for Nate and I to do stuff together, to do these excursions, to like experience nature, to go on hikes, so that, like, that was restful. And we slept 8 hours every night. Like, we don't do that at home because we have a toddler. So I think that's the thing too, is that rest doesn't mean that you're not moving or you're not doing anything. Like going to jazzercise is restful for me, which seems weird. I know, or it could seem weird to some people, but it is. And so just because we did things doesn't mean we weren't resting.
I understand that for you.
And we finally caught up on the Holy Post podcast on the drives around the island.
Talk about something I don't feel the need to catch up on.
Why?
Wait,
I catch
like
those as they come.
400?
No, like we were behind. No, gosh, no. And excuse me, sir, there are 500 episodes of the Holy Post.
Oh, my bad.
This is episode 530 just came out.
Yeah, we
Whatever
haven't
episodes.
listened to the last 2 weeks, but we like caught up of the ones that we'd missed from the last like 2 months.
Now, to be fair, I have listened to every episode of the Bible Project podcast.
I haven't done that. And we finished listening to The Two Towers, finally, which I really enjoyed.
Do you feel better about your rest now?
I wasn't feeling bad about it.
Mike, how do you feel about your rest?
I feel great about my rest. I'm going to sleep in tomorrow because I have training instead of work. I have a personnel training day, so I don't have to be to work super early, and I'm really happy about that. I'm going to drink coffee sitting down in a chair instead of in my car, and that just sounds great.
Wait, how do you drive?
What do you mean, how do I drive?
He doesn't have a manual stick shift anymore, Matt.
No, I got a new car.
Yeah, I just wonder how you drive. Like, whenever you drive, what is your general arrangement of your body?
It's like this,
sitting
so I
in
can
a
see
chair?
out the window. Yeah. But like lean super far back so I can see out the front window. Because if I sit up like a normal person, my eyes go here and I can't see out the window.
I'm just saying, you said I'm going to sit in a chair and drink my coffee, but that's what you do every day.
No, it's different and you know it.
With our ministerial association today at lunch, talking about we're doing a series at our church on abiding, and during the opening message when Pam and George preached together, Pam used the phrase at a time she described a time in her life where she was spiritually holding her breath, and that had really resonated with me, and so that's something I've been mulling over, and I think we tend to do that a lot, of like waiting for God to move. So, or waiting for God to do something, or waiting for something to happen. And so we just like are spiritually holding our breath and not resting, not breathing, and just like pushing. So I do feel really good about my time, and my rest, and it's been good. But I just think that in general, we could do a better job modeling rest as pastors, but we could also do a better job like encouraging people in our congregations, if we're pastoring, or like whatever our ministry context is, in resting, and like celebrating it, versus having this attitude of like, I have to rest, like almost apologetically, like let's celebrate it and say like, nope, I'm off, like not doing this, or I'm, just, I think that that's something that we could be better at. And I think as a denomination, it's something we could be better at encouraging, or like, I know that we're a grassroots movement, but I would really love to see there be more, like directly speaking from our leadership that says like, we need to model healthy rest, and like 1 week off at a time doesn't really give you the chance to like decompress in the way that you need to.
See, I don't know if that's the truth though. Like, I mean, because not everyone decompresses the same way, right? Some people are going to be just fine with a week off. because they manage their decompression,
Maybe.
themselves.
I can decompress in a weekend, and I'm like ready to go for work come Monday morning. Anna, she takes 2-3 days to start to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's different, and I think that's what annoys me about when we talk about rest is, it's I think this is just the church thing in general, but it's here's your 1, 2, 3, go out and do and follow these steps. But I think it's hard to rest because it like you need to figure out like what about you. Like it took me so long to figure out that sitting and like having like, I don't know, I had this idea that like rest, you needed to kind of like sit in contemplation for like a while or whatever, and like that was rest or whatever. But that does not work for me. I have to do something or I lose my damn mind. And so it's actually restful if I clean the kitchen or like putter around the house. I have, listening to my audiobook, listening to my podcast, whatever. That's restful for me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing things. I'm feeling good. There's no time pressure. So for me, time pressure is what really gets like stresses me out and grinds my gears. And it took me a long time to realize I just don't really plan things when I try to rest. If I get to it, I get to it. If if people want to hang out, this is where I'll be. If you jump in that, great. I'd love to see you. But I'm not going to like panic myself over trying to make time constraints. And so I think it takes a while to figure that out.
Yeah. And there's some people who, we talk about a sabbatical often,
Mm-hmm.
but a sabbatical is not meant to be a rest time, right? A sabbatical is meant to be time where you get away, but you get away and do something else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you take a sabbatical, like at a university, as a professor, the sabbatical is time where you're doing research for a book, or you're doing research for, a bunch of articles you've got to write. It's not just time off. And I think that's where we have issues in pastoral ministry, is because so many people think that rest is time off, and it shouldn't be time off. It should be time spent doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the church world, it can be, imagine if you went up to someone and said, hey, every 7 years, I should have a month off of work where in addition to vacation and, nothing else. And that seems as if you're asking for a lot. But if you phrase it and you're like, hey, every 7 years, I'd like to go away, focus again, take some time to do some things that I can't do normally, it's easier to sell, and it's actually more in line with what it should be.
So, question to that is like, what's the kind of historicity of a sabbatical, and is it from like a secular perspective or a religious one? Because a lot of times what I hear, especially when we talk about like procedures in churches or sabbaticals or those things, and people are like, well, in the real world, you wouldn't get to do this or that or get a severance or any of those things. My thought has always been like, why are we modeling what the church should do based off of what like a corporate business would do?
It's been historically based in the church, but like you have to think universities are extensions of the church historically,
right?
So those sabbatical times were times where you could get away and do some work,
mm-hmm.
but not be burdened with the day-to-day. So the work that you do is deep work,
right?
And that's been the idea.
I just think it's interesting when we say, like, if you go to your job and say, I'm going to do this, and when we use like a secular corporation as an example of maybe what the church.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you don't need, well, not everyone needs, and not everyone should get a month off.
Yeah.
Just to do nothing. Like that's not healthy necessarily.
Right. Like doing nothing is probably not restful for most people.
But even if you like you spent your 7 weeks at the lake, 7 weeks, your month at the lake. Like that's not that is vacation. That's not sabbatical. Sabbatical by definition, or at least historic definition, is to do something that helps you in the thing, but you can't do it normally. You can't take the time to do that in the day-to-day grind.
So what if I want to take a sabbatical in order to eat from every single pizza restaurant in Chicago, compile a list, best pizza to worst pizza?
Are you a food critic?
I could be.
Then yes, that is a sabbatical. Are you Mike May, school liaison, special assistant to the principal? That's not a sabbatical. That's a vacation, right? Usually the sabbatical, the thing that you do during your sabbatical lines up with who you are vocationally.
Interesting.
I just think it's interesting because, I mean, so the idea of a sabbatical comes from Sabbath. And so, you know, that's a rest or a break from work. Like you're taking...
But it wasn't a rest or break. It was a rest or break from the day-to-day work. But it's not a rest or a break from your vocation, which is image of Christ. You're still being the image of Christ. You're still doing the thing. Like, you still cook. Well, depends on how crazy you are. But you still, like, prepare food. You still are the image of Christ, and you do the things that show that. That's why that vocation language is there. Why are you putting your claws in my shirt like that?
God rested on the 7th or whatever, but he didn't stop being God.
Right. And so in sabbatical time frames, it's not as if rest is... It's not that rest is doing nothing, like you mentioned. It's rest is allowing yourself to take a break from the day-to-day activities of life. Which, again, that's usually what the stressors are.
Yeah.
And for most people, they find joy in going deep into what they love.
Yes.
Right? So, like, if you take time and you say, hey, you know, you get a week as a pastor, you get a week to just go read John, and here's $200 for commentaries on John, and we'll see you next week. Right? Like, that could be incredibly restful, and it pours into you more than, hey, we're going to give you a week to go to a cabin to do cabin-y things. Right? One of them has benefits forever, and the other one might just calm you down for a little bit.
What if my cabin-y things are commentaries of John?
I was going to say, what if you take the commentaries of John to the cabin-y thing?
That's fine. I'm not opposed to it, but...
What if I read commentaries for fun in my day-to-day?
Then you are resting in your day-to-day.
Oh! I did it. I won. I'm the best Christian.
But if you're doing it because of a day-to-day grind, right, that it ceases to be restful. It's how that rest piece, Rebecca, you mentioned earlier, and you were like, the idea that it's different for different people. But I don't know if it's that different for different people, because it does boil down to this idea that rest is a getaway from the day-to-day, right? So if your day-to-day is X, rest is getting away from that. It doesn't matter if you do something else. It's just getting away from the day-to-day grind. And so for the Israelites in early Canaan, right, the grind was agriculture. And so on Sunday, it's like, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You have to take a day where you don't do that. And that resting from the day-to-day grind brought them back into understanding their vocation, again, as image bearers and all of those things. So when we talk about Sabbath, I think it's important for us to look at it and say, okay, so what is it that makes me better in my vocation? That's what I do to give me rest in those time frames. So it becomes beneficial. And it's not that you go hard at those time frames, but you don't just let it be about not doing or doing something completely unrelated.
Yeah.
I was promised a good one.
So I have a honorable mention, as per usual. Mike, I need you to read this one.
Is this the one you promised me?
No. You got this, Mike. This is not our tweet of the week. This is our honorable mention.
What the? Oh. Okay. From Dale Partridge on Twitter. Effeminate pastors produce feminine churches. Feminine churches produce an emotional culture. Emotional culture does not attract strong men. No strong men equals a weak and vulnerable church.
That we're not talking about it. It's just an honorable mention. I did challenge this person to a fight, and they did not respond, so I just assumed they're effeminate. Okay, Michael, I've got a tweet for you to look at here.
Oh, this is a new one?
Yeah, this is the new one.
Oh no!
Have you seen this
Oh,
before?
No. Oh no! Oh no! Oh.
Have y'all seen this one before?
Yes.
Right. So this was in the year 2001. Randy Johnson was pitching at a spring training game and annihilated a pigeon.
Are we sure it was a pigeon?
I believe it was a pigeon. I think that's
it's a
what
pigeon. It looks like one.
So everyone see that happening?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Wow.
It's such a great video.
I'm about to blow your mind.
Oh no.
This is the tweet I need you to read, Mike.
Here comes the tweet. Do-do-do-do.
From Sophie Kleeman, learned today that Randy Johnson is now a professional photographer and shoots NFL games.
Can I just say the lack of capital letters in that tweet hurts me?
You can say that, but it's tweets, you know.
Have you ever been on Twitter? If you use capital letters, you're a loser.
It still hurts me.
Here is Randy Johnson photography. RJ51photos.com. So this guy is a Hall of Fame Major League Baseball player, and he says in his about section, he says, my career as a Major League Baseball player has been well documented, but what is not as well known is my passion for photography, which began when I studied photojournalism at the University of Southern California. Don't say it yet, Michael. From 1983 to 1985. Baseball became my occupation for 2 decades, but my love of photography never left. Following my 2010 retirement, I was able to focus my attention back to this passion. Thanks to the people I got to meet during my baseball career, I've been fortunate to have unique opportunities in photography. I've gotten to talk to and learn from some of the best photographers in different fields. My world travels have allowed me to capture various rarities, from the beauty of many African safaris to motorsports to multiple major music artists. Along the way, my work has been featured in publications such as Rolling Stone, Spin, and Metal Hammer. My concert photography has even found its way into tour programs, posters, books, and websites. Photography has taken me on an amazing journey, but it's only just beginning. I look forward to visiting places I've never been, shooting things I've never seen, and getting better each and every day. And Mike, what is his photography logo?
It's a dead pigeon.
That's not a pigeon.
It's a dead bird.
It's a dead bird. That's clearly not a dead pigeon. Though,
if you look at his gallery, just
his gallery is
these
incredible.
Pictures are stunning.
I'm looking at the concert one right now.
Look at the wildlife one. Oh
my gosh, that's a hippo.
He's got a picture of a booby.
A blue-footed booby, to be clear.
Let's say a single booby?
A single one. There were actually, I don't think there were any other boobies in that photo. No, it's one booby sitting on poop.
Sitting on a poopy rock.
I mean,
oh wow.
They are out of this world. His photos of some of these leopards are just...
The leopards are really cool.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love the black and white lion one too. This is a very photo heavy episode.
It really is. So if you have a chance, dear listener, you definitely should go and look at RJ51photos.com. They are, the photos are just amazing. Wow. He's just really good at what he does. I had no clue that that's what he does.
I love that hippo one, I have to say. Like that black and white hippo pictures.
He just captures mood in a way.
He does. On the travel one, the sand dune is, I think, my favorite.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so good.
It looks fake. Like, it looks so good.
Whoa.
It doesn't even look like a real place. It looks like he created that in, like, Procreate.
That castle. Oh, M gatos.
Oh, the Bono photo?
The Bono photo is I think my
Is that
favorite.
a-
Yeah, there's also a Seattle one. There's a great Seattle photo.
First off, the picture is beautiful. The guitar.
Bono's?
Yes.
Oh, that picture with Rainier and the Space Needle, that is beautiful.
I mean, it is just absolutely phenomenal what this man has done. And granted, he does, like I said, he has deep ties to the Pacific Northwest. He started playing in Seattle, so it matches the Mariners losing again.
Whatever. They're gonna win on Saturday.
Yeah, just phenomenal. And had no clue that he was doing that until I saw this tweet from Sophie Kleeman and did not know he was doing NFL photography. He's 6'10", so he kind of stands out, I'm sure.
He's 6'10"?
I'm sure he does. He's a tall dude.
That's why he pitched so well. He just had so much length. He's halfway to home plate by the time the ball left his hand.
I mean, he exploded a bird. The leverage you need to explode a bird.
So there you go. Randy Johnson is a photographer, and I had no clue.
This is a really happy podcast. Are you about to bring us down with a news story?
Yep, here we go. So the House Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol, also known as the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, voted unanimously on Thursday to issue a subpoena to former President Donald J. Trump.
Wow. So that just happened today.
Mm-hmm. Today.
Wow. So what does that mean?
Nothing, because he's not going to be there.
I would say, for this, I understand, what a subpoena means and, when you subpoena something in a normal court of law, but this is, obviously something a little different. So what does that mean for this committee?
It means that he's supposed to come and talk to them, right?
So if you scroll down a little bit, there's so the House actually subpoenaed a former president for testimony in 1846. I have no clue what it was.
Now, who was the president for $10?
President John Tyler.
Is that your guess, or is that the answer?
No, I'm reading the article. So,
okay.
It says, but Mr. Trump may choose to testify, taking advantage of an opportunity for a dramatic televised event starring himself.
Oh, he totally will.
Any other... Right. So this is the thing. Anybody else would be like, we're going to fight this, and hell no. But for him... He's been telling aides he favors doing so as long as he gets to do so live.
Oh my gosh.
Under oath. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal that they've subpoenaed him. We had new behind the scenes video showing Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer being evacuated and trying to, speaking loudly into a phone during a call with Jeffrey Rosen, the acting attorney general. Mr. Schumer is seen asking, why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General? The committee presented evidence that Tom Fitton, an informal advisor for Mr. Trump who runs the conservative group Judicial Watch, counseled the president days before the election to declare victory strictly on the basis of votes cast on Election Day, effectively asserting that a lawfully cast early and absentee ballot should not count. In an October 31st email, Mr. Fitton suggested that Mr. Trump declare the ballots counted by Election Day deadline show the American people have bestowed on me the great honor of re-election to the President of the United States, the deadline by which voters in states across the country must choose a president. That's not how it works, but...
Nice try, bud.
The panel also showed how Mr. Trump repeatedly sought to join the crowd at the Capitol, even after his supporters had turned violent and were attacking police. One national security official, whose identity the committee kept anonymous, told investigators the president wanted to lead tens of thousands of people to the Capitol. I think that was enough grounds for us to be alarmed. So it just keeps going. This train just keeps on plodding along. One of the problems that...
This will be really interesting to see how they do this.
Well, one of the problems that the January 6th committee is going to run up against real fast is the midterm elections. and a Democrat is president, which means the Republicans will likely win the House because that's how midterms go. 538. The House election forecast is currently 69 to 31 chances that the Republicans win the House, and Democrats look to be holding on to the Senate in 66 to 34. So the chances that Republicans win the Senate and the Democrats win the White House is like 1 in 100. Democrats win the Senate, Republicans win the House is 36 in 100. Republicans win both chambers is 33 in 100. Democrats win both chambers is 30 in 100. We're probably going to have a split Congress, which is, pretty normal. But that being said, it's a little wild around here.
It is a little wild.
And we got a month till Election Day. Make sure that you're registered to vote.
Yep.
When does he testify if he accepts?
They haven't set the date, so no one knows.
Well, that's not, you didn't bring it super down.
I mean, if anything, that's kind of a much more positive, news story than I was expecting.
There are a lot of competitive races. It is time to, if you're an election watcher, it's time to up your game and start paying attention, watching some new stuff, listening to podcasts, all that jazz. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a different time, and we will see what happens as we get a little bit closer. But hopefully you've been caught up today on pictures, Fat Bears, Rest, Randy Johnson, the freaking NFL photographer, and effeminate men who will not fight me, and election stuff / Donald J. Trump.
What a great podcast.
Caleb should be here less often.
And scene.
Just kidding. That's not going to make the podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Barely Saved podcast. Make sure to subscribe using your favorite podcast app. You can find more episodes, links, and show notes
And merch!
at barelysavedpodcast.com.
Don't stop a mic, Kelm.
No, what are you doing? What's happening?
I can't.
My wife pressed my button.
And now, it's
That
time
is
for
not
our tweet
suitable
of the
for
week.
video. Oh my gosh, Mike is disappearing.
What are you doing?
Today's tweet
Well, it's because
comes in two parts.
use this
Don't touch
to
it.
balance,
Don't touch it anymore.
and then I do it all the time. You're just not usually. I'm sorry,
I don't know what
I'll
just
stop
happened.
disrupting.
So Mike,
Anna was getting something out of my drink,
do
the
it?
drink fridge, and she hit one of my presets on my standing desk. So it raised my desk up.
no, I know what happened. I just don't know what happened.
My tablet's in the car.